So now we're looking at question 5. Again, it gives us boxes to tick off how many times we're going to hear the excerpt. This time it tells us it's 4 times. And just like question 4, question 5 is first of all asking us about the tonality of the excerpt. And again gives us the same 4 options as we had in the previous question. Now I suggested in question 4 that it's most likely to be major or minor. And if we have a look at the mark scheme, again it tells us that the correct answer is minor. So again the same reasoning is paid off here. Of course you do need to listen to the extract and check that it's not modal or pentatonic, but remembering again pentatonic can itself be major or minor, so you need to think carefully if you're going to put that one down. But I would say lean towards major and minor as your possible answers. Next up it says fully describe the first interval in the melody line, so listening very carefully for the first one and not worrying yourself about the others. The melody line, obviously the one that's the tune, the bit that you would find most singable. And it awards 2 marks for this because it does say fully describe. Now I know that the answer here is a 5th, and normally we would be quite happy with just saying it's a 5th. But if it says fully describe and asks for 2 marks, then you need to be very clear as to what type of a 5th is. Now there are your 2 main types of 5ths. You've got your perfect, your augmented, and of course your diminished 5th. So a perfect 5th is when it's literally 1/5, so from C to G. Diminished would be the tritone, which is from C to F sharp. Very distinctive sound, you'd know if you heard that. And the augmented would be from C to G sharp. Again, you would find that quite a distinctive sound. So I would have gambled here the perfect 5th, and again it tells me that the 5th I knew because I had checked the mark scheme, and again perfect 5th is worth 2 marks, whereas 5th is only worth 1. So fully describe means it's looking for the word that you would associate with that interval as well, and you can find that by looking at the scales videos on our word of the week. Name the cadence at the end of the first phrase. So obviously we've come across cadences many times in our lessons, probably something we've practiced more than anything else in terms of listening. So we know that there are 4 possible answers: perfect, plague or imperfect, interrupted. So it's a case of listening up to the end of the first phrase of the melody, you know, the first bit where you were, if you were singing the melody, you would take a breath and asking yourself what cadence you hear, and here it tells you that the answer is an imperfect cadence. It also gives you an American term, half closed, but imperfect is absolutely fine. Notice it doesn't ask you for 2 marks, so you don't need to tell us which 2 chords that would involve, which degrees of the scale. Then it asks you for the second phrase is basically a repeat of the first, and to describe how the composer, not how the performer, how the composer creates contrast in the second piece. So what musical devices have they used? And it's looking for a short response answer worth 4 marks. So it tells us the 4 things that are the actual correct features are that the melody is played again an octave higher, so the same notes, just an octave higher. That the second phrase starts quieter. The music is extended, so in other words it lasts longer, and there's a rising sequence, so the melody is repeated up or down, well in this case rising sequence, further up the scale as well. Now in order to get full marks for this, 3 to 4 marks, the response is well written, thorough and coherent. In other words, it makes sense and you've written it well. You spell, punctuate and use the rules of grammar accurately, so your spelling and grammar is good, and you use the right musical terminology. So the example it says is in the second phrase the melody starts quieter, so that's worth 1 mark. It is an octave higher, so it's a 2nd mark, and is extended by means of a rising sequence. So that's 3 marks, and obviously the good spelling and grammar has gotten the 4th mark in this case. They could have put in the 4th feature here, the music extended, it's made longer. And then the final question, identify the type of ensemble playing. If you listen to the extract, this one's quite easy. It's a string quartet, which is when you have violin, viola, cello, and two violins, viola and cello.